Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Just ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to be talking with an Ole Miss legend who played defensive end at Ole Miss from 2014 through 2017. He played in 50 games with 102 solo tackles for his career, with 48 of those behind the line of scrimmage and 32 sacks. All of those are Ole Miss records. He also went on to have an NFL career with the Carolina Panthers. Marquis Haynes joins us right now on this edition of the Stingray Show to discuss his career there at Ole Miss.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Stingray Show. Heath, let's go, man. It's time to get into the game.
Brother, I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I've already made 3 stops. I've dropped off 3 children at school and 2 things, and I ate a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit on the go.
Your internet is real choppy, so you may want to go on ahead and refresh right here. On the Stingray Show today, we are going to be talking with a former Ole Miss standout defensive end, like I said off the top of the show, who played at Ole Miss from 2014 through 2017, like I talked about off the top of the show, along with all of his records. He was also a ball hawk with 7 pass deflections and 12 forced fumbles. He played under Hugh Freeze and then 1 season under Matt Luke. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome to the Stingray Show, Mr. Marquis Haynes. Marquis, how are things with you this morning?
Going great this morning. Thank you for the opportunity for y'all having me this morning. I really appreciate it. You know, let's get down to business.
Yes, sir. So, Marquis, where are you coming to us from this morning, and what are you up to these days?
Right now, coming to you from Jacksonville, Florida, where I'm born
Okay.
and raised from, and currently, I'm a defensive coordinator at a high school.
Nice. That's awesome. So, do you ultimately want to get into coaching at the college ranks?
I get asked that a lot, but I think right now I'm more suitable for high school kids to show them, like, if you want the keys to success, this is what it's going to take to get where I went. So I'm gonna be that pedestal that they can come to and ask me all the questions they need before they even get to college or think about going to the pros, and they get to pick my brain and just get all the information they need to be able to say, hey, like, okay, this is what he did to get where he went. This is what he did to be great. His motivation, his drive. I got to figure out what's my motivation, what's my drive, what's my why.
Yes.
Marquis, you grew up there in Jacksonville. You just said that you were born there. You're coaching there right now. As a young guy coming through, how much was a big name was Tim Tebow? I mean, were you guys infatuated with that guy, or you're like, man, I'm gonna be better than that guy, or like, man, that dude's awesome, or like, oh, here comes Tim again, giving us another speech? I mean, what was it like being in that area? You being a football player and Tim being older.
Growing up, Tim Tebow, he went to Nice High School, so by him being on that side of town compared to where we at, it's different structures that goes on in the city and stuff. To where you have a great high school, you have an okay high school, but then when you got someone like Tim Tebow, who's a quarterback, and he's leading the way for all quarterbacks that want to be better than him or be like him. He set the standard high for them. As for me, I'm a defensive player, so it's like, yeah, that's Tim Tebow. I want to sack him one day, but then you're young, so your
Yeah.
whole mindset is like every quarterback you go against, you gonna treat them like they Tim Tebow back there.
Yeah. Hayes, you got another question? You may move on.
Oh, go on.
So, Marquis, talking about the whole NIL situation, when you were playing ball, how much NIL do you think you could have brought in there at Ole Miss?
All of it. Because you D linemen are special. We all know it.
I'm not even gonna lie, because when I first heard about the NIL deal, I like, this can't be real. This
Right.
can't be real at all. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Returning college football into NFL basically right now. We
Yeah.
got kids going into college talking about contracts. They're talking about contracts
High
as
school
a
kids with
freshman,
agents.
and
Yeah.
they got agents going into college. And my whole thing about the NIL deal, I mean, it's okay, but I think it is getting out of hand,
Yes.
because now you got people negotiating. Oh, I want a Rolls Royce in my contract. I want a Bentley in my contract. Like, they're asking for XYZ instead of just playing for the love of the game. The
Right.
love of the game is gone.
Yes.
There's no more blue chip call up players no more who just want it. Like,
Right.
the end goal was to go to college, win a championship, let that build your resume while you in college, and then go to the pros and go for the Super Bowl. When I was in college, my motivation was, I didn't even know for a fact that I was gonna get drafted or nothing like that. My motivation was, I'm going to college. I represent the last name on the back of my jersey. I'm going to get my degree. If the NFL is there and they want me, then I'm going to go pursue that after I get my degree.
Hmm.
Now these days, kids are going in with, I'm getting 2.3 million at this school. I'm getting 5 over here, or 7 over here. Now they going in for who a school can offer them the most money instead of really going in for the educational purpose
Right.
and learning more about the sport itself. So
And Mark,
now, so now that we got this NIL stuff that's treating like the pros, soon enough, kids gonna make enough money to where they can say, NFL, what's that? I don't need it. I'm already rich.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Marquise, I do have a quick follow up to that. You talked about your education. What was your degree there at the University of Mississippi?
I went for general studies.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got minors in criminal justice, recreation, and I forgot the other one. But I did that for a perfectly good reason, so I could be anything that I want.
Right.
Yes.
Marquise, a couple of fun questions. I will not ask details. Don't think I'm asking details. I'm not being nosy. But did you fall into that the lawsuit that is helping guys that previously played in college get NIL money after their time has passed? Were you in that age bracket where you get something? I won't ask any amount or details of that, but were you able to? Was the time frame? Were you in that time frame of getting some compensation from the NCAA and Ole Miss?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
With that being said, I ran into a former player, basketball player at Arkansas at the airport, and we were talking and briefly, and he told me he fell into that bracket as well, and he said it was a very substantial amount. I was shocked, and he was a starter. He still plays in the G League right now, but he was shocked at how much it was. He said, "Man, I had to call my financial guy, like, hey, I want to put this toward this." And laid it all out. Then he started telling me stories about players now. And he said, man, he goes, I can't remember who he said that he still knew at Arkansas. He said, these football players after games have private jets waiting on them. And they get on the plane and they fly down to the Bahamas and they stay in like a presidential suite. They don't get a regular room. They stay at a nice resort. They stay in the presidential suite for a night or two until they have to come back to practice on Monday. Wow. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And he goes, no, this is what's going on now in college football. So with all that being said, if you were there in the NIL, the big time, I'll ask this first. What did you do after games to recover? And what would you have done if you played in the NIL during the NIL era when you had the big bucks?
See, what I would usually do after games is, after games, you got the family and friends section, to where they want to see all the players and stuff and everything.
Right.
Me personally, once I learned that, I had to go on the 1810 grill to, get my family and stuff and then go walk around everybody. I started telling, because I had my daughter when I was in college, so I used to tell the kids' mom and my daughter and my family, hey, I'm going out the back door. I'm not going through all them people. Y'all meet me on the back side and let's go ahead and go home. Cause it's a lot of people and you tired and you mentally drained and stuff. And sometimes if I'm feeling good, I go out there, I'll sign autographs and meet everybody and everything like that. But other than that, I was going out the back door every time. Going home, straight home, get some rest, get some sleep, get some good old dinner. Cause playing at Oxford, I'm not going during that time. It was tough trying to get food late at night. Cause
Right.
every restaurant is packed. Buffalo Wild Wings packed. Everything's packed. So, I mean, I was just one of them type of players. Like I was just ready to go home after the game, shower, go home. Let's get ready for next day.
Yes.
But for me, like if I was part like of the group now that had NIL money and stuff, I think how humble I am, I would have did the same thing still to the day. Like I wouldn't have went and got me or jet or anything like that. I think that I know for a fact that like I would have went home.
I was blown away when we heard another SEC team. They were finishing at the bottom of the conference. That the second and third string players were making about $40,000 to $50,000 a month. a month.
I know. That's just mind
Second and
blowing.
third string on the worst place team in the SEC a month, not a year, a month, making 40, 50 grand a month, and you're a third string player. And that's what these guys are getting paid now. It's insane. And I'm not hating because I'm actually proud of them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually proud that they're getting something for it because the old system definitely wasn't the best.
Right.
If you had to choose, hey, it's this or that, like give me that. Like, hey, you get something for your time and your effort. I get it.
Right.
But with all of that being said, it's ruining college football. As you as a former player, where do you think it's ruining it the most?
I think it just ruined it. I think it's the amount of money they're throwing at these players now that's ruining it because now it's like if you got like a 5-star here and a 5-star over there, I mean, evidently you got to pick like who you gonna get the most money to.
Right.
Like some schools got enough money to build a undefeated caliber team now. Like
Oh, yeah.
they actually the college is acting like the schools are the GM. The schools give out XYZ
Mm-hmm.
and that builds their contract. And the whole thing about it is these kids are not signing often to go to school for 2 years, 30 mil and stuff like that. No, they get the they get to go in the transfer portal, get asked about how much money they want, and then they go to that school and play that same year.
Yeah.
They don't get to sit out, they get to play right away.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where it's messing up at because now if the NIL keep going the way it's going to be like to the point where how the NFL going to be, how they get like a certain amount of money, and then they get to go to free agency and get these amount of players. It's going to be that type of budget, and soon enough, the NFL is going to slowly start declining because kids going to be, oh, I'm already rich, like
Mm-hmm.
I got more money. Like they're they're rookies. They got drafted this year that already had that amount of money already.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them to go in now, it's like you're not going to get the same ball playing skills they had in college
Right.
towards the league because they feel like you can't tell them that because I'm already rich. So if you release me, so what?
Right.
Right.
I already got the big bag.
I'll say this: the whole Carson Beck thing. You know, he goes to Miami, and I get it. You're going to make more money if you're not, a lottery pick in the first round. You're going to make more money staying in college, even if you're a late first rounder, definitely second, third, or fourth rounder. But you're going to make more money in college than you are with that rookie NFL contract. And I get it. Like, man, I don't want to go to the Browns and get my head beat in. I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to try to win a national title, and I'm going to make more money. And I'm just waiting for the day because we've already seen it in basketball at University of Alabama. I'm just waiting for the day where a kid leaves early to go to the NFL. He's going to be a lottery pick. He's going to go to someone like the Browns or a bad team that can't protect him. And he's going to sit around like, you know what? I don't like this. I'm going to go back to college.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got that. This is crazy that we're talking about this. But we've seen that with the NBA already. It's going on currently at the University of Alabama. I'm just waiting to it to transfer to football, and then all of Hades is going to bust wide open and break loose, and everyone's going to have a panic. And then lo and behold, I'm making a bad joke. You're going to have Eli and Peyton Manning like, I think I can beat my brother. I'm going to come back for one more year, see if I can beat Peyton. I mean, this is crazy what we're doing. Your thoughts, can we fix this?
I feel like the only way we can fix this is that it has to go back how it started. Like, I understand that the reason why it started because we felt like like me when I was in college, we weren't getting enough funds to take care like of our own housing and
Right.
for some of us that had kids in college, we weren't getting enough to help provide for our own family and rent, bills and everything like that. I just feel like if we're going to fix this, we have to drop down the prices to so where we hold everybody accountable and have everybody be humble about the amount that every school is going to get. Like, I think a reasonable out would easily be 5 to 7K a month. That's easy. That's
Yes.
humble enough. Instead of say, hey, you know what? We're finna give you 40 to 50,000 a month, or we're gonna give you 5 mil for a year and stuff like that. Like, you're not learning nothing. You're missing the whole value of what college is supposed to be like. Your whole college experience. Your whole college experience is supposed to be, I'm going to school out here. I'm going to learn how to be on my own. I'm going to learn how to budget financially. I'm going to learn how to face adversity when my parents ain't. My parents not even a phone call. My parents on a phone call away, and I can't drive an hour away to go see them. What can I do financially to keep myself from starving?
Right.
What can I do to better myself educationally? And how can I make football a main priority to where my motivation is when I get in the league, I can make this. I can make even more money. All that's out the door now.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marquise, let's talk about you and your recruitment, please. You were recruited out of high school there in Jacksonville, Florida, by Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss. Talk about meeting Coach Freeze for the very first time.
So out of high school, I was originally committed to Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And then so when I took a visit to Louisville, I was talking to Charlie Strong. He told me, he said, hey man, I'm not gonna be here. And so when he told me that, that automatically switched my decision to where I wanted to go to play for Larry Fedora,
Right.
which was the head coach at North Carolina. So I was committed to North Carolina for a year. So after my school year ended, I needed an 18 to get into North Carolina, but I didn't get my SCT score. So I ended up going to Fork Union in Virginia, and I get my score. And then when I tried to early enroll in North Carolina, that's when they had the academic fraud with the basketball team there.
Yep.
So because I couldn't get in there, Larry Fedora called Hugh Freeze and told him, "Hey, I got a special player over here. He's 205 pounds, but I think he could be really great for you." And so I ended up signing a waiver to go visit on the dead period during the Christmas break. I went to visit Ole Miss, and my whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, man, this is a long drive away from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so me thinking, I'm like, I need this though so I can learn how to, you know, be able to live on my own without my family always being around. Because I could have easily went to FAU, which is down the road and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to better myself, learn how to, learn financially, learn my mistakes on my own. And if I need help, I know my family is a phone call away.
Right.
So I go down there, meet Hugh Freeze at his house. We play. So this is how I end up committing. I go over to his house, we're talking and stuff, and Hugh Freeze said, I got a basketball hoop in the backyard. I said, okay, let's go back there and shoot. So we go back there. He said, hey, Keith, let's play a game of horse. If I win, you commit. He said, if you win, you don't gotta commit. You go somewhere else. I said, all right, bet. I said, man, I'm finna whoop this man. This man don't know. I know he can't hoop. I kid you not. I feel like I was set up from the jump.
How,
Hugh
how many
Freeze,
how many letters did you get before he spelled out? I mean,
let's just say he had one letter. He had H. I had all of them. So
that
so that day right there, I mean, it was a fun game.
right.
The shots he was hitting, you would have thought he was like a great basketball player growing up. The way he was shooting out there in the backyard. So I ended up, committing to Ole Miss was the best decision I ever could make, and it was a life changing event for me. And ever since then, me and Hugh Freeze, we always stay tight. Like if I ever need him, I can call him up today right now, text him, we check on each other, and
Right.
that bond has been great ever since.
So,
Marquise,
Marquise, I
with
do have
you,
a quick follow up to that, please. With you being from Jacksonville, Were you a Florida fan, a Florida State fan, or a U fan?
Well, to answer that question I'm being honest, I never grew up nobody fan. I
Okay.
wasn't a even pro level. Like I wasn't a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, a Tampa Bay, Miami. I was me growing up. I was just myself. I
Okay.
never I never me growing up in Jeff. I never would have thought that I would have been able to play on a level that I see all these other athletes and the Tim Tebows and the Percy Harvest and everybody else like that playing on that level of stage. And me, I'm little, I'm growing up like they ain't gonna never be me. I'm finna get ready to get me a graduate high school, get me a 9 to 5 job, and that's the end of the story because it's tough trying to get out of the city of Jacksonville. It's
Right.
really tough. But once that momentum started kicking in and stuff, I just started to I started to study the game a little bit more. I wasn't like my knowledge of NFL is still like low because I didn't know about like players and stuff
Hmm.
growing up and stuff. I was just being an ordinary kid, like playing basketball, football, track, and just going by everyday life.
Mm-hmm. Marquise, before you made your very first trip to Oxford and got into a horse game with Hugh Freeze, what did you know about the city of Oxford? What did you know about Ole Miss? Because you were talking about it was a long way from home. You were committed to North Carolina. You were thinking about Louisville, and then all of a sudden, Ole Miss shows up during the dead period. What did you know about it before you went on that first trip?
Small. It's a small town, and I'm not used to being in a small town, especially like in Jacksonville and every place where you got like you got the Chick-fil-A, you got the Cheesecake Factory and stuff inside the city and stuff. And but when I first went to Oxford, I was like, this it? Like they got the square, then they told me about the chicken on the stick at the gas station,
Which
and
is excellent.
it's by far 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my, see, they got a lot of more stuff built now,
Yeah.
but back then, I was just like, the campus right here, the square's right there. Then as you go down the other road, you got like, you got Chili's, you got Applebee's, and you got a hibachi place. I'm like, oh wow. And then that you go an hour away to Memphis, you go to South Haven, they got all the better stuff over there with the malls and stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess, if I come here, I really know how to survive on my own now.
Hmm.
Right.
Wow.
So, Marquise, your very first game in college was in 2014 there in Atlanta at a neutral site game versus Boise State. Talk about your first game, oddly enough, being at a neutral site there in Atlanta versus Boise State, please.
Well, leading up to that game, I was nervous. Uh, Me and Chris Kiffin, who was my D-line coach at the time, we were talking like every day, asking like he's asking how I'm feeling. Like, are you excited? Are you nervous? You got like how you feeling? I'm like, I ain't saying anything lie to you. I said, me being at 205, 210 pounds, a starting DN at an SEC school, I said that's never heard of. Usually you got DN that's like 240 and above. But
Yeah.
for me and my skill set, I was literally 205, 210 pounds, about to have my first SEC start against Boise State.
Right.
And so calling my dad, I'm like, hey, I'm starting this game, my first ever, collegiate game, and I'm excited and stuff. And let's just say like it was a great experience because it helped me awaken the person who I really want to be. Like
Hmm.
just going out there, the fans were amazing, and the atmosphere of the game, how intensity it was, and it was a lot of fun. I was tired, like I was dog crap tired. Like every time I wanted to come off the field, I wanted water, and I couldn't even get water. It's like, yeah, this ain't high school no more.
Right.
This ain't Prescott no more. This the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they said if you prepare well enough in the games you play in the SEC, it helps you adapt to the level of play in the NFL, and that stayed true.
Yes.
Marquise, looking back at your time in the SEC, what atmosphere did you enjoy the most away from Vaught Hemingway? What were some atmospheres like, man, this is pretty neat, or like, man, this place is loud, or whatever it might be? But what were some of the places that really caught your attention?
Uh, I would say first and foremost, the atmosphere at playing against Alabama at night at Dayfield, like that atmosphere there
Yeah.
is different. And then if you play A&M at night, their atmosphere is also different. But then you go right down the road to the old Death Valley. That atmosphere is one thing I used to tell like people who came to Ole Miss and we play LSU. I told them like if we not up at halftime by 2 scores, after halftime, it's gonna be a game. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about LSU, but after halftime, they always I don't know if they swap uniforms with other people to come in and stuff. I don't know what they got going on over there, but it's some type of deal where every time LSU come after halftime, they're on a whole different level. Like, okay, now we gave you our best. Now we finna show you how for real we are. And they always come out with a old thing song with Suck That Tiger,
Yeah.
and it's just a whole different atmosphere. And then you go probably about an hour or two, three down the old Starkville. You got the ringing of the cowbells. I
Yeah.
never heard so many cowbells before in my life till I got over there. Man.
We've had this talked about on our show by a lot of former players and coaches, and I want to get your take on it. They said it's for the guys on offense, and I know you play defense, but they said you get used to the noise of the cowbells, but when the center gets over the ball and starts yelling, it's a completely different noise and it throws you off. And they say, because you get used to the cowbells and you can start to communicate, and then it's a different kind of noise on a different level. And he goes, and it's just the contrasting between the two. And you're like, he goes, you can't make things out. He goes, if they just yelled all the time, you could communicate through it. If it was just cowbells all the time, you could communicate through it. And he said, but it's the mixture of the two on every play that throws everything off. What do you remember about that? Any kind of communication breakdown? I know, again, you're on defense, but you were over there on the sideline. I mean, what do you remember about all that?
I remember us being at practice and we're mimicking the noise that we would hear at Starkville Stadium. Like we would turn the volume up as loud as we can, and that's where they would all often for practice silent count and just going on silent. Like it wasn't no verbiage being said. Communication wise, the receivers had to look at the quarterback to see what signals they were going to get. But the center and the quarterback had to know like everything was on silent count. Like because we already knew that you weren't gonna be able to hit the quarterback set hike. There's no way. So the center had to be able to look through his legs, see where the quarterback's at, and wait for him to move his hands to say hike. And I think that's difficult for a lot of teams, that play against, if you haven't practiced all season how to go silent count and be able to play against like loud noises, then I think that disrupts like the relationship and chemistry between the quarterback and offensive line, because the quarterback has to send for pass protection or change the plays, and he can't do that if nobody can hear him.
Right.
So being able to practice how to, okay, the center has a responsibility to point, and the O-line have to, everybody on the O-line have to look at the center to know which way they're gonna go, or if it's a play change. You have to come with different signals, different schematic ways to make sure you get your best plays out there playing against loud stadiums like that.
Right.
Wow.
So Marquise, going back to the 2014 season after the Boise State game. Later that season, just a few weeks later, Ole Miss welcomes in number 3 Alabama with the GOAT Nick Saban to Auburn, and College Game Day is there on campus. Talk about the hype and the build-up surrounding number 11 Ole Miss versus number 3 Alabama there in 2014.
Oh man, that week right there is just it was more it was basically like it was a business trip. Like that right that day, that week, everything was strictly business. Like, you get sometimes where you get your hee hee ha ha, you make jokes and stuff and practice and everything like that, but that week right there was so strictly business. I mean, we knew we had a great group of guys who can do anything that season, but that game right there, it was when I tell you it was you could walk around the whole building and you could drop a pin. We're all locked in watching film, and there was no plan. Even at practice, the stretch lines were on point, and the music, you barely heard the music throughout that week, and we were just all locked in on one common goal of making sure everybody knew their assignment, everybody knew their details, and we already knew if one person messed up, we already knew that was gonna be the deal breaker. So we all had to lock in on our details and be on our crafts because we knew that going into this game is gonna be a dogfight. It's
Yes.
gonna be one of the dogfights that's gonna happen all season. This is what we wanted. This is what we've been prepared for. So weight room, we in there lifting heavy. We going crazy. Meals, we made sure everybody, even the big boys eating salads and stuff. I'm like, yo, I'm not used to eating the salad. I'm used to having about 2 burgers or trying to
Right.
sneak something to go home and stuff. But everybody was on point, and we never had nobody late or anything like that. It was just an all serious business that week.
And Marquis, now talk about the game itself and ultimately upsetting number 3 Alabama there in Oxford.
Oh, it was a back and forth dogfight. And I remember me, I was a freshman, so I got in on a crucial third down to where I think the running back at the time was TJ Yeldon,
Mm-hmm.
had got the ball, and I don't know how it happened. I think I had my eyes closed, but I made a crucial stop on third down because one of my teammates had pushed me in the back. They pushed me to make the play. And all I know, I got up and I started screaming. I'm like, oh my God, like this, like, and then you hear the stadium erupt. Almost like you had got like almost like somebody got a set call some like there and it erupted like that. And so as the game kept going on, we knew that it was gonna come to one stop.
Right.
One stop. And so the quarterback at the time, I think it was Blake, was it Blake Sims
Yes.
that threw the
Yes.
pick?
That's it. Yep.
When
Blake
when
Sims.
he threw it and I seen Sinquan goes up and jump, I said, oh man. Oh man. I said, I did because once again, I'm a freshman. I don't know. So did he need 2 feet down or 1 foot down to be able to make sure call an interception? And so as you go and look at it, Sinquez is an amazing athlete. The way how he jumped up so high, I think the tight end was OJ Howard that he caught it over too. So he goes up and snags it, lands with 1 foot down, and everybody on the sideline like, oh man, did we really just beat Alabama?
Hmm.
And so the referee goes, reviews it, and says it's completed interception. The whole stadium erupts. I mean, it was like going out to one of them big old celebrity parties, and you got everybody there who you could ever imagine there. And so now it's like end of the game. Everybody's running on the field. I was scared for my life because I never been through that before ever
Right.
in my life. And so I'm running and I'm ducking people because I'm thinking they come to tackle me and stuff. And I'm running, I'm looking, and my head's on the swivel. And then I got my football helmet. I'm holding my football helmet tight because I felt a lot of people tugging at it and stuff. I'm like, oh no, you can't get this, can't get this. And then the most crazy, incredible moment was when I saw the goalpost going down. When I seen that, I said, I just happened to look. I'm like, how in the world they get a goalpost to take down without no tools? Like, what are you doing? And so as I'm looking, I'm seeing them carry the goalpost around the stadium, and I'm like, whatever alcohol they had, I want some of it too. I want some of that strength too.
Yes. Dude,
So
that is awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that.
that
Marquis,
was
I want to ask you a fun question. During the time you were getting recruited, what was the lamest recruiting pitch you heard? What was something you're like, man, come on now. Like, there ain't no way I'm coming here. There ain't no way I'm buying that. Whatever it was. We've had some people say coaches have called them at, 1:30 a.m. for the very first time and wake them up. We've had people say, hey, we'll come here and we'll get your major. Hey, if you come here, we'll make this happen. Like, we've heard a lot of fun stories. What was the craziest recruiting pitch that was given to you?
I would say for me, when I was committed to Louisville, I had a coach calling me, like straight up calling me like every day, making sure I was gonna stay committed and stuff. And I had to tell him, oh, like I said, like at the end of the day, like it's gonna come down to my decision. And I never seen a coach get so mad at a player who's not even there. Like I'm in high school still, and he got so mad at me. What are you doing? What are you doing? You don't know what you're doing for yourself. This is the best situation for you. We got everything you need. You can't do this to me. You can't. And the whole time, like, yeah, I said, yeah, this is I said, I'm not that type of person. I'm not gonna argue with you. This is not no back and forth deal, but like I understand what you're saying you can do for me, but this is my decision. It's not you can't force me to stay committed to you.
Right.
Like this is my decision. And so he was just so fired up, like, I'm not stopping, I'm gonna keep calling you every day. You're gonna stay committed to us. You're not, no. And like this coach was just so highly, and don't get me wrong, like I understand how important he thought I was to his program, but at the same time, I'm looking at the kids going in and I'm like, how can you make me a priority there if you already got XYZ already there?
Right.
And for me, like I want to play ball. And so after that, when I decommitted from Louisville, oh my gosh, he got even more wilder. He started making visits, he started making more phone calls, he started calling parents, and I'm just like, he just ain't gonna give up, huh? So at some point in time, I had to ignore him because I was focusing on winning my first ever state football championship that year.
Right.
And we won the state championship game, and he still came back. He was messaging me on Facebook. Like, we still got a chance to get you. It's okay. You can still come back and commit to us on sign the day and stuff, and everything like that. And whatever you want, I got you. I got what you need. Education wise, you ain't gotta worry about that. Living on campus, I got the best room for you and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, just do this. He had me nervous about going to college. I was like, cause if he like this, imagine what other college coaches are like.
Right. So, Marquise, going back to another incredible game there in 2014, it was the final regular season game in which it was the highly anticipated Egg Bowl matchup that featured number 4 Mississippi State versus number 18 Ole Miss. Talk about your experience in your first Egg Bowl and especially what kind of an athlete Dak Prescott was in college.
Uh, Rivalry games. I didn't expect that rivalry game to turn out the way it is now. Being there, all week, you never hear about the Egg Bowl being brought up until you're like 3 weeks away from the big game.
Right.
And then so as soon as you start getting closer and closer, and you get to that final week, you see a demeanor change around the whole atmosphere around the city of Oxford itself. You notice the way how people from Mississippi, C.J. Johnson, Tony Connor, Isaac Groves, Woodrow Hamilton, you see those players like demeanor change,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to figure out why you being so mean this week. You was just laughing last week, and you notice that like it's a rivalry. This is a real rivalry game. Like there's nobody who's going to back down from one another. It's going to be you might get in a fight, you might not, but it's one of those. It's bragging rights. Just
Right.
saying which Mississippi player went to the better school. And so during the game, first kickoff, it was like it was going crazier than the Alabama game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go out there on third down. I beat the left tackle. I get a sack on Dak Prescott, and the stadium erupts like we just won the Super Bowl. And that was like the whole atmosphere of that game was so dynamic. It was like the loudest game ever played. And even at being going to LSU and A&M, so that game right there, my freshman was the loudest it had ever been.
Right.
And playing against Dak Prescott, he's an amazing athlete. He's a dual threat runner. Like he can hurt you with his feet and arms.
Right.
If you don't prepare the right way against him, he can hurt you.
And Marquis, a quick follow-up to that. How big of a trash talker was Dak on the field in college, if any?
I think honestly, because I played against him twice,
Mm-hmm.
I he's just a competitor.
Okay.
He's the type of player like he's not gonna say much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's gonna let his play do the talking for him.
Okay.
There's not so much Dak had to say to get his team going and stuff because he knew that the only way his team would get going, he has to get going.
Right.
Whether it's by him throwing a ball for a big first down or him running the ball. I think Dak Prescott himself, he leads by action, and he's just a competitive ball player.
So Marquis, finishing that year for Ole Miss, they finished 9-4 and took a trip back to Atlanta to take on TCU. Talk about your first bowl experience there in Atlanta versus TCU in the Peach Bowl.
Uh, whew, man, that game right there, that was let's just say that game right there was a wake up call. Because we going into the game, we're practicing all week. You know, we see TCU and we're like, these are the people we playing against.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got Trayvon Boykins at quarterback, and they have some real good receivers, and so we're practicing all week about the players we're gonna see and stuff, and we would get there on game day, and it's a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
They come out with a double pass, touchdown. Then they're throwing slants, touchdown. Then they running the ball. Then they throwing it more, and I'm like, man, the score's going up pretty fast.
Right.
And I'm looking at our offense, and I think we lost Tulsa that game. We started losing players, and it's just I don't think that we were really prepared the way we should have that game. And I think if we had more I want to say more accountability, more seriousness, for practices and defensive calls, and actually put really dialed into it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would have been a different ball game. But for them, they had I think we got outplayed on defense. with their offense because they had plays that we never seen before that they were throwing at us.
So, Marquis, the following season in 2015, the third game of the year, you guys had another win over Alabama, this time in Tuscaloosa in prime time, 43-37. You talked about that atmosphere earlier. Talk about what else you remember about that win versus Alabama in 2015 right here in Tuscaloosa.
Oh man. All I remember is, we needed a big play, a big stop, and I'm looking over to the sideline to Chris Kiffin, and Chris Kiffin, he's telling me, Keith, you gotta go. This is one of them plays like if we're gonna win, you gotta hit the quarterback or you gotta get him off his spot because if you look back at the play, he had a wide open receiver, but he ended up underthrowing it because I got round. We ran a tech stunt and ended up wrapping around my defensive tackle and end up hitting the quarterback as hard as I could as he was throwing it. And so as I'm hitting him, he launches the ball up, and luckily it was underthrown to Trey Elston, who picks it off. And that right there led to like another big moment for me because now it showed that like not only that like, you know, I could be a ball player, I could also be a game changer too when it's time to end games.
Right. And Marquis, talk about the craziness of the sideline with that crazy off the helmet catch that ultimately put Ole Miss up by 10 there in the second half.
Oh man, I thought that was just gonna be a regular, tip off the helmet's gonna be down. But
Right.
when I seen the ball get tipped off Treadwell and Quincy Alderborger caught it and was hauling tail, I said, "Oh my gosh, that's one of the most crazy." I said, "Did y'all download that trick play or did it just happened by accident?" Like still to the day, I think there was a trick play.
All right. So I've got to ask you a little bit later on that season in November, Ole Miss welcomed in Arkansas, and I'm sorry to bring this up, which is one of the wildest finishes that you will ever see, the Hunter Henry heave. Talk about that entire game leading up to that play, and then how you saw it as that play unfolded there on the field.
We already knew that going into this game, it was like a rivalry game, back and forth battle. We knew it was gonna come down to one stop. One stop is all we needed. 4th and 27 is all we needed. That's all we needed.
Right.
So boom, they start on the offense. They throw the ball to Hunter Henry. They were short, way short.
Yep.
And then so Hunter Henry goes and turns and he launches the ball backwards. And so I'm next to Dan Skipper, who's the offensive tackle at the time. I'm jumping and he holds me down on the play because I was trying to knock the ball down.
Right.
And so that right there should have been offensive holding. But
Yes.
then it ended up in the running back's hand, and he takes it all the way in the other side, going all the way around to a first down. And so boom, I think they're 1st and 10 going into
Right.
our end zone, and we stop them. We needed one more down. Third down comes. Boom. I'm rushing. The quarterback gets out the pocket. I'm chasing him. I had him dead to right down. As soon as I hit him, he ducked his head into my hand, which led to a face mask. And the whole time I'm looking, I'm like, how can this quarterback really do that to me? Like, he literally put his head right there in my hand for the face mask. And so as they get to 15 yards, they score, and they needed 2 points to win. So during that 2 point play, we only had 10 people on the field. We were missing a defensive tackle on that play to stop them. And the play that they run is quarterback power, where the defensive tackle would have been at. And that's how they won the game.
And did y'all have any timeouts that you could have brought somebody on?
No, we didn't have no more timeouts.
God, man, that
Everything was happening so fast that game, like you couldn't breathe.
man, one player short right there where he made the 2-point conversion. That sucks. All right. So after that, Ole Miss finishes 10-3 with a Sugar Bowl victory there in New Orleans. Besides the Alabama win and the Arkansas loss, what were some other highlights or moments that stick out to you during that 2015 season?
I think to me was just the, building that brotherhood and, knowing that we went through a lot of adversity throughout that whole year. And, being a sophomore at the time, that was my first ever 10 sack season.
Mm-hmm.
And so by me getting 10 sacks that year, I didn't know what records and stuff was and everything like that. But as soon as I got 10 sacks, Chris Kiffin goes and tell me, he said, you got the freshman sack record. And I was like, what you mean? He said, yeah, you had a freshman sack record at Ole Miss. I said, who had it before? He said, Greg Hardy had it. And so I had 7.5 sacks my
Right.
freshman year, which was, I didn't even know, like, I was going to play that many amount of games, saying, like, how big I was and stuff. And by me having that freshman sack record, it led me to go and be like, you know what? I got 10 this year. If I keep going out, my main goal is I could be in the record book for the all-time sacks.
Sorry, I got preoccupied there for just a second. Now, the following season, in 2016, Ole Miss finished with a record of 5-7, and Hugh Freeze was let go. We all know why Coach was fired, and we're not going to get into that. But how difficult was that season, navigating a 5-7 season with a coach not even being fired before the season?
I think you go through a lot of adversities, especially for a coach who you think is gonna be there all the way till you get ready to leave, and the day before you're talking to that coach on the phone, and you know talking about the season, talking about the leadership, thinking about how we can improve to be better and stuff, and thinking about like the next day how we gonna team bond and everything like that, and then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, you get an unexpected text message say we're having an emergency team meeting, and you're looking like, what in the world is this gonna be about? And then
Right.
you go into the meeting, head coach is gone, and then you get Matt Luke steps up and say, I'm gonna do the best I can, to, be the leader that I can for y'all, and Coach Matt Luke, he did everything in his will and power to make sure, he could be the leader for us.
Right.
And I think if Matt Luke had, like, if he really had one true year, like a true off season with us to prepare us and everything like that, it would have been a whole different ball game. But for him to be put on a spot right then and there before we get started with our seasons, our first game and stuff, it kind of like it kind of changed the dynamic of the locker room, and the adversity we was going to face. Because this Coach Luke, he's a smart, intelligent coach, but his skill set is like with the offensive lineman and stuff. And I think by him jumping into the head coach role, it put added more on his plate.
Right.
And I think any coach, I think it goes for any, you know, any intro head coach that has to go in and replace the original head coach. You add more on your plate than what you already got.
Yes.
Not only do you have to worry about offense, you also have to worry about defense, special teams, and everything like that. And so for that season right there, that season was just Man, it was a roller coaster.
And if you would, please talk about the transition that season and then the next season of Matt Luke there taking over. Did he change anything? Or did he stay with the game plan that y'all were familiar with for the 2016 season?
Uh, he brought in more energy for us.
Okay.
Cause we had a lot of players on our team saying like, "Man, I'm transferring. It's not the same atmosphere no more. It's not the same, dynamic and everything like that."
Right.
And so most of us, we all looking around and we started talking. We like, you know what kind of example will we set for, the next represent our back if we can't face this adversity? We know we don't have a head coach like we wanted to, but we got someone that's willing to lead and show us that no matter what, do not ever give up. And so that's the mentality we stayed with. We stayed with the never give up mentality. Like no matter how the wins and losses went, as long as we still got each other, that's all that matter. And we like that we're part of history right now. Like how did Ole Miss bounce back from losing a head coach to their season? Like the wins and losses, yeah, it's gonna say that, that's gonna be detailed, but it never says the importance of how we all could have left, but we all decided to stay there and finish out our careers at Ole Miss.
Right. Now, Marquise, your senior season at Ole Miss was 2017. You guys finished 6-6, and one of those games you had to travel well west to take on Cal in Berkeley, California. What was that experience like of you flying across the country for a football game, and then talk about the game itself, please?
Man, flying way out there, it was a long flight.
Yeah.
Very long flight. And then the time change too. Oh man. Like trying to adjust to that. My first time ever flying out there and then trying to adjust to the scheduling, how we had meetings and stuff was very difficult. Because it felt later than usual being out there, but it was really early.
Mm-hmm.
So being out there was just, man, it was just wild. And then we get the game day against Kyle, and it's like we playing them at first of all, we playing them at night.
Mm-hmm.
So back on our side, it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and stuff like that. So we're not even used to playing that long.
Right.
So us adjusting to that late gameplay was, it was tough at first, but we started getting adjusted. I think we got it adjusted a little bit too late for us to win that game.
Right. So even though you were on probation, Ole Miss finished 6-6 your senior season. What are some other moments and memories that stand out to you your final season there at Ole Miss?
My final season there at Ole Miss was pretty great because we knew we had the bowl ban and stuff like that, and everything was going on around us. So our mentality was, if we can't go, they can't go either. And
Right.
teams had to beat us just to go, and we beat some teams that was gonna be home in January and December, just like us. And so that
Mm-hmm.
was our mission, and we kept the mentality going throughout the whole season, especially towards like the last 5 games. So we even told the teams that we played against, if we can't go, y'all gotta go through us too,
Yeah.
just to go. So if y'all don't beat us, y'all gonna be home like us. And so that's what we did. And so after every game that we won and teams didn't get in, we was the ones laughing because they was talking about our bowl banners. So we was like, well, you just like us now because you home too.
Mm, that's great, man. And which team did you say that the most to that balked at y'all?
Mississippi State, they're in there. They
Yeah.
they especially the year before, how they beat us real bad when they had Fitzgerald at quarterback and he ran that cute. Yeah. That game right there was the worst Mississippi State loss I ever had in history at Ole
Right.
Miss. Uh can't remember other teams and stuff then, but if I had to look the last 5 games, I could tell you. But I know Starkville was in there because they had to win one more game for them to go to a bowl game,
Right.
and they didn't get it. So
So after playing in college at Ole Miss, you were drafted by the Carolina Panthers organization, and for you, what was the biggest transition of college going to the NFL?
I think the biggest transition was actually adapting, learning how to be a pro early. I mean, look at how I got drafted in there. I went in there with being on the team that had Julius Peppers, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Mario Addison, Cam Newton,
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, and you're used to seeing them on TV, not even knowing that like you're going to be in the same locker room as them, in the same meeting as them, being able to, be around them like that. And so when I got drafted to Carolina and I went there to, rookie mini camp and stuff, you seen these players and you're like, man, I remember seeing you on TV.
Hmm.
Man, I'm not a Madden guy, but I remember playing with y'all Madden a couple times. And so being in there with them and be able to talk with them and pick their brains and stuff about life and, what they did when they was a rookie and stuff and how it was and everything, it was a pretty cool experience for me.
All right. So, you played with Carolina from 2018 through 2023. What are some of your highlights of your time with the Panthers? And also, please tell us about the time you scored a touchdown on defense.
I say my favorite time my career playing in Carolina was when I got the back-to-back sacks on the Thursday night game against Atlanta at home. That was like by far the best moment ever that I had playing for Carolina. That was a division game. We needed to win. We brought it. That was our first time bringing out the black unis, and that game. It was just so much fun. It's a
Right.
lot of fun playing that game. Them back-to-back sacks. I didn't even know it was gonna come that fast, but it did. And the game-winning sack that I had was just it was fast. It was fast the way I got off the ball. And I had my help from Derek Brown, who's right next to me. Me and him worked together in practice about like if I go speed rush, you got my back. And he's like, yeah, I got you. So I mean, I gave him my best rush, getting Marcus Mariota down and ending the game.
Right.
And then like the scoring a touchdown, we was playing New Orleans Saints early in
Yeah.
the season, and Frankie Louvu goes and he grabs Alvin Kamara and he rips the ball out. And if you look in the video, I'm standing there and I'm looking at the ball and the ball looking at me, and I'm like, oh my god, what? I said, this is like I picked the ball up and started running. I was like, oh my god, and then I just show how fast I really was.
Right.
I want to get a touchdown.
So you then had a short stint with the Arizona Cardinals in 2024. Talk about your time with Arizona out on the West Coast.
It was a pretty good experience. My time there was short because I didn't feel that I was properly prepared to be all the way over there, and I was still dealing with back issues.
Right.
So because I had back issues, I was telling the team like, hey, like I understand, like I feel like I'm about to get back in the groove and stuff, but I said I can't do this because of my back. I need to get surgery. And so I asked them to release me so I can go get surgery. And so that's what they did. They grant me my release so I can go. I can go back home to Charlotte and go see my doctor to get surgery on my back. And
Right.
after surgery, I was good. I was getting prepared. Like okay, let's try it one more time. Because at the end of the day, every athlete has to understand like NFL is not for long.
Right.
So you got to understand that you're even after surgery, you're And even after surgery and playing in the NFL, your body is not going to be the same as it once was. And I think that's what the biggest picture that every player misses out on. Yeah, the coach is going to tell you like after surgery, we need you back. We need you back. But at the end of the day, you got to think about your future, your health. Like especially if you got kids, because you don't want your kids pushing you in a wheelchair when you're 28 years old and you realize you should have stopped playing then and you still to be able to walk and stuff like that. So I went, had surgery. I tried it out again against back with Carolina. End up messing up my back even more and, got released after the 2 games that I played with them. And, you know, reality hit me right there. Like,
Right.
I gave it my best, 5 to 6 years to the league. Like I did everything I could, because it's only a certain amount of players, you got your great players, you got your good players, and then you got your special team players. I was in the middle of I could have been great and good players. And that right there, like after I got released, I sat down with my agent. We had a real talk, and I say, "Hey, man, as much as I want to continue playing, I said I got to think about my kids and my health. Like it's time for me. It's time for me to hang up the cleats. Like I done had a great career. I mean, not a lot of people can say they played the amount of years I did. They didn't. A lot of people can't say they scored a touchdown on defense. They didn't have 2 back-to-back sacks and a sack in the game. They didn't sack Tom Brady and stuff like that. A lot of people can't say that.
Right.
So by me realizing and maturing and being humble about it, I could have easily been like, let me get surgery again. Let me take a year off and go back. But nah, I think my time has ended up and it was time for me to just take the cleats and put them up for once and actually be smart for one because I was the type of player in the league like even if I had an injury, I'm gonna play through it. Like
Right.
I'm gonna go back out there and I'm gonna play through it like that. For instance, like the Saints game that we played them at their place, I ended up getting a grade 2 MCL tear, and I played through that injury. I don't know how I did it, but they ended up wrapping my leg up, putting a knee brace on, putting another wrap on it, and I was out there the whole game with like it felt like my right leg was torn in 2 pieces. So I was playing a right leg that was hanging off and a one good leg. And so after all that I've been through,
Yeah.
it's time for me to just say, great career, could have been better, yes, but God got a reason for why everything happened to each individual player. To why,
Right.
like, this is your reason why you play. I showed you this. Now it's time for you to do something else with it. And I feel like my reason was I knew I wasn't gonna be like a Hall of Fame caliber player. And I always told myself that like I just want to learn the game of football. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn like the XYZs of it. I want to learn like the defensive play calls, the defensive schematics, and everything like that. Because I said one day I want to be a coach. So as I'm playing, I'm learning different players, and I'm learning from coaches and stuff how they coach and how players, take care of their bodies and stuff. And it just my eyes opened up
Right.
that like I'm gonna be a great coach one day. So maybe I'm not a 20 or 30 career sack guy and stuff like that, but I was happy with that
Mm-hmm.
because I knew my reality was I'm finna take what I learned and go give back the knowledge to the younger kids that need living proofs. Like maybe they saying I can't do it. I can go tell them I used to say I can't do it either, but I motivated myself to get where I wanted to go.
Right. So, Marquis, this has been awesome. I've got 3 questions left for you. The first one, now let's get back to your time at Ole Miss. You played in 50 games for the Rebels between 2014 through 2017. Which game that you played in means the most to you and why?
I would say the game that meant most to me was the Vanderbilt game. I wouldn't say my senior year because that's the game that I broke the all-time set record in
Okay.
for career-wise, and I was very chasing that game. Like I knew, like if I needed to break the set record, it had to be against them,
Right.
and it felt right doing that game, and just felt all my teammates was telling me, "Kish, you just need one more. You just need one more." And so I go out there get one more sack, and I became the all time sack leader at Ole Miss, and I think that's a record that's going. I mean, I'm surprised ain't nobody break it now, but I mean, is that record's gonna be up there for a very long time.
And Marquise, what was it like when you got back to the sidelines with your teammates, knowing that you had just gotten the record?
It was the only thing that my teammates were happy about. They were saying like we're a part of history. We witnessed someone who gave everything to the program to go out there and watch them every day work and break the sack record. And you go out there, you see offense. You see the offense players breaking records every other game and stuff, depending on what team playing it. But to hear about a defensive player breaking the all-time sack record throughout a career is pretty rare at Ole Miss.
Right. So, Marquise, you talked about you were very happy with your career there in the NFL. What is next for Marquis Haynes?
What's next for me is just being a defensive coordinator at a high school, and just getting them players together like I'm doing now with speed training every day, teaching them defense, and just teaching them the knowledge of what it's going to take to get where they want to go. Because it's a lot of schools here in Jacksonville that has great athletes, but
Right.
because the NIL has messed up the dynamic of how kids get recruited and stuff these days, now we got kids that are blue chip colored that I'm coaching now. Just like they won't never get a look because the college schools they want kids like who want their money and stuff. I got kids who don't want their money. They just want an opportunity to go ball out,
Right.
have fun playing the game itself. And I think that with that aspect, like I'm giving them more like motivation that like if you want it, you gotta show them why you want it. You gotta go take it. So now I'm getting them prepared to face adversity. This kid gonna be like this, you gotta be this. But also at the end of the day, it's not you versus that kid. It's you versus you every day. How far can you push yourself?
Right.
Because I already told him, I say, even when you're not doing something, that other kid who want that same offer, he's doing something too. The day you're not doing something. So it's you versus you every day. And that's what you have to live with.
So, Marquise, the final thing that we will leave on, and this is a two-part question. If you would leave us with your favorite Hugh Freeze story and your favorite Matt Luke story that you enjoy telling.
I say the favorite Hugh Freeze moment that was funny to me was when we did the Marine or the Navy SEALs course that came to our school. And we always talk about team bonding and stuff, but we didn't think that he meant team bonding in that aspect to where we had them coming in and putting us through the craziness of carrying a telephone pole 100 yards and carrying a 100-pound sandbag and us doing drills and then us going to waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the pool. And
Right.
that day right there, especially the pool, like I didn't know how to swim then. I learned how to swim that day because
Right.
we had an activity where we had to swim. We had to take off our jackets in the water. Like I think they call it tread weight. When we had to take off our jackets and swim with the person next to us. And so for me, I was like, man, I hope I get a big guy because me putting on a small person jacket, it ain't gonna do right for me.
Mhm.
So boom, and we couldn't even hold on to the ledge. So boom, we get out there swimming in the middle of the pool. I take off my jacket, hand it to the person next to me. I can't see mine because I'm taking off the jacket. And as you're taking off the jacket, you're underwater, you're getting trapped. you getting trapped by nothing but water, and it getting tighter and tighter on you, and you're like, oh, this ain't right. I said at that day right there, I said I'm about to drown. My career been lived up real good at Ole Miss. I'm about to drown. And so Breland speaks, he comes and he lifts me up out the water. He said, Keith, you bet not today, not today. And so I'm gasping for air, and I'm like, man, they trying to kill us out here today. And so we end up completing the course and everything. And so we got done at 7. So from 7 a.m., I'm going back home. And all I know is that as soon as I got home, I didn't wake up to the next day.
Right.
I was, that water drained me so bad. I woke up the next day. I was tired. I thought I had a nightmare. I haven't been back in the pool since that day.
Wow. Wow. And what about Coach Luke? Do you have a story for him?
I think Coach Luke's story was, it's hard to say for Coach Luke because he's an energetic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll never know, even on like on his, you'll never know when he's sad, mad, anything like that. He just keeps the same energy every time. And so it just with him, he's just a unique guy. So I really don't have no stories about Coach Luke, but I
Mm-hmm.
do have one thing. Coach Luke is a guy. If he know he got a lot of potential, he's never gonna let that die out. And so throughout the course of my last year at Ole Miss, he came to me and sat me down in his office, and we had a talk because I wasn't playing the way that I'm used to playing, because I was telling him, like, and I think every football player can relate to this, that like it was a time where I was playing that I felt like I'm not loving the game no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thinking about like being chilled. I don't care if you bench me the rest of the season, but like I'm not feeling this, the game of football no more, because it's mentally draining me and stuff, and I just don't know what it is, why I can't be the player that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so by having that talk, me and Coach Luke sat down in his office. We had a like an hour talk, hour and a half talk discussion about like what can I do to be a better person and stuff. And we go back to watching my like all my years since I was a freshman at Ole Miss, leading up to now. And he said, this is what we need. This is who you are. Like, this is the love the passion that you have for the game. Like me throwing up the fins, like that's what he loves seeing me do. And then so he goes and we go into team meeting and stuff. Then we break up. We go to the defensive meeting, and Coach McGriffin, he was there. Coach McGriff, he was there. And so he plays a highlight of me getting sacks and turnovers and hard hits and stuff. And he said, just the juice we need. Like if the team gonna go, you gotta go, because we look at you as a leader. And so that right there, that's the coolest Matt Luke moment I have right there, is that he always have faith in his players. He
Right.
never gives up with no one. Even when you feel like you're not feeling the game of football no more,
Mm-hmm.
he know how to find that extra gear to make you love football again, because the energy and the love and passion that he brings to the table.
So, Marquise, you have talked about your closeness with Coach Hugh Freeze. How surprised were you that the whole experience at Auburn did not work out? What do you think ultimately led to that situation?
Um, it's tough to say. I mean, mm, thinking about him now and how that situation played out, I think it was something that
Do you think they
mm,
let him go a little bit too soon? I mean, because they really were really close.
I mean, if you really look back at how it went, I think going from the Laramie Tunsil situation on a draft night and then leading up to the time he got released, I think had whoever that was that played the video on draft night for Tunsil, if they would have not played that video, Ole Miss would have had the same coaching staff and Hugh Freeze still would have been there.
Right.
But because, we got people that just, that do stuff for publicity and, they can say like I ruined this person's career and stuff like that. They didn't ruin Tunsil's career. He actually turned out to be he's one of the best tackles in the NFL right now. So they felt that. But I think from that moment, that pivotal moment right there, from that draft night with Tunsil, that led to up to Hugh Freeze being departed from Ole Miss.
Right.
So you take away that, we still have Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss.
Wow. You think so? Wow. Okay. All right, man. Well, look, this has been an awesome interview. Thank you for taking time this morning to join us. And please, Marquis, the floor is all yours for anything that you would like to say to the Ole Miss Nation or the people watching here on the Stingray Show.
All I can say is, hey, thank you for having me on the Stingray Show. Thank you, Mr. Steve Stingray, yourself for having me. It's an honor, opportunity, and for all the Ole Miss rebels out there, Ole Miss Nation, Hotty Toddy, and LSU game, I will be there.
Yes. And yeah, a little payback for old Kiffin, huh?
I just know that it is going to be a different atmosphere, and I
Right.
can't wait to experience that.
Yes. Now, Marquis, have you ever had the opportunity to meet Coach Kiffin?
No, I did not. I've always talked to his brother Chris Kiffin. Never met Lane before.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Marquis, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and we would love to catch up with you before that LSU game to get your prediction on it this fall, okay?
Thank you. Hotty Toddy, fins
Yes,
up.
sir. Hotty toddy, fins up. Let's go. All right, so guys, that is going to wrap up the interview there with Marquis Haynes, formerly of Ole Miss and the Carolina Panthers. Really do want to thank him for joining us. He had to duck out a little bit earlier this morning, so that's the reason that he left and was not there for the last half of the show. When we come back on the Fun Friday edition of the Stingray Show, we're going to have a fun show like we always do on Friday, and that will begin at 8:30 in the morning, actually 8:15/8:30. So we will see you guys right back here in the morning, and we really do want to thank Marquis Haynes for joining us right here on the Stingray Show, and good luck to him in his coaching journey. And yes, we will definitely have him back on the Stingray Show during the football season to get his take on Pete Golding and the Ole Miss Rebels, especially when they go into that game with LSU and their former head coach of Lane Kiffin. And we will see y'all on the Friday edition of the Stingray Show. We are out. It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. And hey, speaking of Jeff Nee, you are invited on February the 27th to their open house. Join them for an open house at the Jeff Nee Agency at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can meet all of the friendly staff and also ask questions and have light and refreshments there. We look forward to seeing you there for the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha open house once again on February the 27th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. That is with Jeff Nee right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he can do insurance in Mississippi and right here in Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender.